Hello and welcome back to Ep.5 of the Meet Me in Africa podcast. I'm Colin Taylor, and this week I'm going to be speaking with Odeke Abel about his work, but also his love of cycling. He's a very active guy, and we actually have the UCI 2025 Road World Championships in Rwanda, Kigali, happening for the 21st of September. Nice to meet you. You're the managing director of Equal Aqua, I understand, in Kampala, Uganda.
Yes, I'm the managing director of Equal Aqua Uganda, Kampala, Uganda.
Okay, so what is Equal Aqua then?
Equal Aqua basically is a community-based organization that's helping out communities with access to water, sanitation, and hygiene.
Okay, and how did you get involved in that? Did you set Equal Aqua up yourself?
I began the work with Equal Aqua Uganda way back in 2020 with a group of volunteers from the UK whom I met during the International Citizen Service, which was a program that was put in place by the UK government to help out communities in Uganda. But I worked with an organization called Restless Development. And I volunteered in a program called International Citizen Service. And I met a group of friends who we encountered some challenges with while in some village in Kayunga, and looking at all these problems that were affecting the community, we looked at water and sanitation was one of the greatest challenges this community was facing. And yes, me and my friends began Equal Aqua Uganda. That's why we are registered both in Uganda and in the UK.
Okay, so so you had some help there to set the charity up and address these problems. And do you have a geographical focus? Is it that the community you mentioned, or wider than that?
Basically, our focus is we are looking at focusing in rural areas of eastern Uganda, because
Okay.
these are some of the areas that have been neglected. That's why when you come to Uganda, Equal Aqua has much of their interventions done in the rural areas, because we are looking at places that are hard to reach.
So when you say they're hard to reach,
Yeah,
physically hard to reach, but also infrastructure isn't there. You know, the drainage, water, sanitation. It hasn't been developed, so you're going in there to with projects to improve that.
exactly, because when we talk about hard to reach, we're talking about in terms of infrastructure development, like lack of enough water, lack of better latrines for schools, lack of proper drainage systems. All this is what we are trying to analyze in these kind of situations.
And your role as the MD of Equal Aqua, are you involved in the bidding process for funding for these projects and the sort of management of the projects? What's the scale of your team over there?
Of course, I have a Ugandan team that helps me to do a lot of community interventions, because Equal Aqua Uganda has departments like we have the monitoring and evaluation team, accounting team, the media, the law, helping with safeguarding and all those kind of policies. So it's kind of divided in the way that we have separation of power, because this helps us to make sure that we subdivide this work and we always narrow it down to the easiest way of implementation. So, but besides me, I do much of a lot of fundraising through cycling around the country.
Ah, okay.
Actually, it's one of my potentials I normally use, because I always tell people you need to identify what is within you. What is within you? So
It,
that is all that you need to make sure you use to make sure you explore your potential.
Yeah, yeah. So the fundraising activities, then cycling around. You've done various kind of long distance cycling around the country. We have a common friend, Alex, who's over there, and you've done some cycling with him.
Yeah. I met Alex actually when I was volunteering with Restless Development, and when he came to Uganda, I made sure I explained the vision to him, and he's
Hmm.
now part of the team. And together with Alex, we are really exploring Uganda. But besides that, we are also using it to promote and create awareness on water, sanitation, and hygiene, where we ask people to sponsor a kilometer so that we can bring clean water to a school that is not doing well with sanitation.
Hmm. So, what are some of these cycling adventures, challenges that you've done?
Yeah, we have done actually cycling, for example, for 1 week, covering like around 800 kilometers.
Okay, and is that like a mountain bike you're on
Y-
on
Yeah, we do actually bike parking
bike packing? Yeah,
because we move while camping because we want to pass through certain communities and also understand how they are solving issues of water and sanitation. That's why like we prefer sleeping and camping in these communities while engaging the locals and sharing the impact of climate change. And we tell them issues of planting trees and protect the environment.
yeah, yeah. Did you do another one earlier this year? Was it over in the Rwenzori sort of area, or Fort Portal over in the
Yeah,
west?
Actually, today, I mean, this year we did a lot of cycling events. We cycled from eastern Uganda to Kisoro, that's in western part of Uganda. Then also we cycled to Mount Rwenzori, that's in Kasese, also
Yeah,
in the western bit of Uganda. So
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
the adventures.
So a guest on the podcast a few weeks ago, he'd done some hiking in the Rwenzori Mountains, and yeah, it was really singing the praises of that area. Really fantastically beautiful area of the world. So, um, yeah, it sounded quite challenging though, up and down a lot of hills, and maybe the weather was that kind of. Did you encounter some wet conditions, muddy terrain as well?
Yeah, of course, a lot of hills. And also, since it was the rainy season, the rains were really so much.
Yeah, yeah, and camping as well whilst you're doing it.
Yeah, and also above all, camping also makes it actually a little bit kind of technical.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So how did you get into cycling? Have you always been a cyclist, or you know, did you get into it for these challenges?
I actually began being a cyclist while I was at uni because I wanted to see how best I can identify the best kind of transport and see how best I can help out myself by maybe saving on costs while as at a university. But now this went on becoming now part of me. So that's why now, while I started an NGO, I realized it was also another tool I can use to raise some funds to help some communities around Uganda with
Yeah,
access.
no, it's brilliant. So yeah, I mean we're talking now in mid-September 2025, and actually next week is the UCI Road World Championships in Kigali, Rwanda. So I just wondered, are you excited about that? Are you likely to see any of it, or you know, is there any excitement building in Uganda for it?
In fact, I was so excited because the last few months I was in Rwanda and I left when they were organizing the place. And man, I was so excited to see how a country like Rwanda, that has been through genocides and all
Mm.
this unsettlement, is now developing and now has enough security, enough planned roads to host such an event. So it really shows you that, yeah, development is achievable. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
So it all kicks off on Sunday, I think, with the time trials, and then there's the other formats, and then the big race um, on Sunday, the 28th of September. So I assume you'll be watching that. Will there be groups sort of getting together to watch that race?
Sure, sure, sure. In fact, for us, we are focusing on this kind of events because as a cyclist, we are trying to see how best Uganda can also in future adapt this kind of approach. And we host
Yeah,
this kind of events, we benchmark.
yeah. And I understand, are you involved in a cycling club in Kampala on
Yeah,
Sundays?
yeah. We have a registered cycling club called Fun Cycling Uganda. We meet every Sunday and yeah, we cycle around and create awareness about climate change and also try to promote and try to engage government stakeholders to see how best they can also put cycling in its physical plans.
Mm. Yeah, and on that, from what I've seen in Kigali, they are doing a lot of that. There's these sort of community rides organised by the local government or local organisations to get people involved, raise awareness of it, and like close down the city centre from cars, vehicles on the Sunday morning to allow people to feel a bit safer cycling. Really promote that activity. So, do you think, or are there any of those sorts of initiatives going on in Uganda, Kampala, or do you think maybe that might happen at some point?
Yeah, sure. In fact, right now in Uganda and specifically in Kampala, we have Kampala Car Free Day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, which actually is an approved plan where we try to reduce on car mobilities in Kampala for this specific day, and yeah, try to promote cycling and make sure people really enjoy the country.
Yeah. So when does that happen, and what sort of frequency?
In fact, every year we have actually we organize like twice because we have what we call a critical mass where we sensitize the cyclists, people who use the road about how to be safe by wearing helmets, by following the right directions, and also we have Kampala cycling days where we get actually a specific month. Like for this year, actually last month it got finished.
Okay. So
Yeah, we had.
it's quite growing in popularity. Would you say?
Yeah. It's growing because we are engaging stakeholders and different government departments.
Yeah, and I guess nowadays it's all about social media, getting it promoted, you know, widely through that.
Yeah. Because now when the media comes in, the rest get to know more about the impact cycling brings to a city like Kampala because traffic is really a big problem. Because
Yeah.
remember, in a day, someone has 24 hours, and you realize 6 of his hours are all wasted in
Yeah.
traffic. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, we have the same problems in the UK, a lot of cars, and being a cyclist. I mean, there's things, developments in cities, sort of cycle lanes and things like that, but I'd say there's a lot more to do in the UK. As much as we're not necessarily a world leader on that, I think there's a lot of other countries, doing a little bit better on that. So no, that's great to hear that cycling is so popular, and I guess just being active and at the end of the day, a bit of a cheap way to get around, if nothing else, as well as the fitness side of it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's amazing. It's an amazing adventure. In fact, I don't regret because every day I meet new friends, and it's something that's amazing.
so yeah, within the club, what's the sort of is it a formal club with membership, or is it a bit people just drop in and have a cycle? And what's the sort of membership like? Who do you,
So
like the age range and stuff?
specifically for fun cycling in Uganda, we became a little bit organized because we wanted to see how best we can take care of people's safety needs and all that. So at first, we used to meet every Sunday, and we used to say everyone who has a bicycle, fall in, and we have a route map, and we follow that plan, and
Yeah.
yeah, we go for lunch, we disperse. I mean, that's how we used to do it. But as time kept on going, we realized that we can become very organized. So what we did, we registered this with Uganda Registration Board
Okay.
as a cycling club that
Hmm.
is limited by guarantee. So we have annual subscription of
Yep.
100,000 shillings that someone pays in, and you need to make sure you have your helmet, you have your bike, and you join the WhatsApp group. And every week we always plan new routes, and every year we always plan activities. That's how we
Yeah.
operate now.
That's cool. Yeah, just to sort of formalize things,
Yeah.
and then you set the route up, and you go for like half a day or a whole day, a few
Yeah,
hours.
Depends actually. Sometimes we go long, sometimes we go short, sometimes we go bike parking, sometimes we go for awareness campaigns. Like we keep integrating them.
So yeah, sounds a really nice way of tying the cycling with Equal Aqua and other wash organisations working in that area, raising awareness, and the fundraising. They're sort of sponsoring you or others to do these sorts of rides, and um, people respond to that. Would you say people kind of when you started it, did people immediately get on board with what you're doing, or the sort of raising awareness side of it? Did you have any people
It's actually
surprised? What?
something. Yeah, it was something that will actually surprise a lot of communities because they were trying to imagine how a bicycle can move such a long mileage
Yeah,
and how a, a human being without an engine can cover such a distance. Like it was something that a lot of people, like in Africa, they look at these kind of activities like for white people. But it's
yeah,
something that now we are very happy that, yeah, people have changed their attitude. So when they see even blacks doing this kind of bike parking, doing this long distance cycling, yeah, they really get motivated. I can never forget when I cycled to Kenya, and everywhere I went, everyone wanted to host me and I sleep with him. And I mean, they are really so amazed.
so you were kind of bike packing and you were looking for accommodation along the way, and people welcomed you in, and
Yeah,
so that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that sounds like a big adventure there from Kampala over to, where did you go in Kenya?
I went to Kakamega.
Ah, yeah, I went to Kakamega 20 years ago.
Yeah, I went to
Um,
Kakamega. I
oh,
cycled
nice.
from Kampala to Kakamega. Yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to think. Would you have gone through Kisumu?
Yeah, I went via Kisumu. No, I went via Mumias. I went via the border of Busia. Then I went via Bungoma. I entered Mumias, the sugar factories, where the sugar industry is. Then, yeah, I got myself going to Kakamega. That
Yeah,
was the route I used.
it's interesting. So traveling around those that region as a Ugandan, I understand that you just need to show an ID card. You don't even need a passport to. Is it
Yeah,
most of
yeah,
East Africa? Understand?
yeah. You just need to use a national ID, and yeah, you just cross over.
That's yeah. So free movement of people.
Yeah.
Um, uh, do you see like pros and cons in that, or mostly just benefits?
I feel it's really very good because there is a way it shows you that this is one Africa. This is one
Hmm.
nation where there's not too much restrictions, and people always have an open arm when you're coming in. And please come in. And this is really shows a family as well. Because every
Yeah.
time you go to a place and someone is really putting a lot of restrictions and all this,
Hmm.
I mean, there is where you feel like, man, like life is very difficult, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So cooperation between neighbouring
Yeah.
countries
Yeah.
and things. Yeah, no, sounds good. Yeah, when the World Championships were announced years ago, I had in my head an idea for a bike adventure, which would be starting in Kisumu, because it's 20 years ago that I was there. Start in Kisumu, go around Lake Victoria to Kampala, and then on into Rwanda to Kigali. So kind of going all, quite a way around Lake Victoria. Um, I didn't get round to organising and doing that, but do you think, by the sound of it, that would be a doable adventure by
Of
bike?
course. And right now, and there are a lot of roads that are really emerged, and a lot of cycling routes, because I realized the cycling trend really opened up, most especially after the COVID-19, that
Yeah.
effect really brought in a lot of cyclists. Today I was driving to northern Uganda and I met guys doing bike parking, like I stopped, said hi to them. I was so
Yeah.
inspired because it shows you that, yeah, everyone is thinking about getting a bike and organizing a route somewhere.
So these are Ugandan people doing that bike packing.
And actually, these were Europeans, actually.
So you see some Europeans out there as well,
Yeah.
kind of having bike adventures.
Yeah, in
Um,
fact, there were two whites like this, and yeah, to me also it shows. It also showed me that yeah, the country is very secure, very peaceful, because we're only moving alone, and yeah, they were enjoying the ride, and yeah, it was nice.
yeah, it's really good. If there are any visitors that want to come and join you for a ride on a Sunday, would that be okay? Just as a one-off,
Of
maybe?
course, of
Yeah,
course. In fact, what happens here is for people and cyclists already who don't stay in Uganda for a long period of time, we always tell them to come in free of charge, because the annual subscription is actually for only us who live in the country and are going to engage more on the activities of the club, because you realize there are a lot of benefits like getting free uniforms and those kind of remunerations. That's why being a member is kind of amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, we are always happy to welcome visitors.
brilliant. Thank you. And I would have thought, imagine that a donation to your charity would be welcome as well, either for those visitors or anyone watching this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So we can you share a link where how people could do that. You said you're registered in the UK and Uganda, so as a UK registered charity, people can make donations direct.
Yeah, in fact, people can always make a donation through our website at www.equalaqua.org. There is always a donation link that there is all get in the website.
Brilliant. Well, it'd be great to see maybe some photos more. I think you sent a few on WhatsApp
Mm.
of there's one of that looks like Alex there
Alex.
on
Yeah,
his
yeah,
mountain
yeah,
bike. A couple other people in high vises, and then yeah, I can see there's a nice one there of you with the Equal Aqua Uganda Clean Water for All display board. And it says there your vision achieving Sustainable Development Goal 6 in the UN's SDGs, your mission to work with young people to ensure communities in Uganda to have access to clean, safe, and sustainable water and sanitation facilities. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I really like this is quite a colourful one. Um, there's people filling up water bottles from a tap with a big cylinder. Is that
Yeah. In fact, that's actually one of our water tanks we built using plastic bottles. These are discarded plastic bottles, but we fill them with sand and we hold them together with mortar.
So it's a recycling project as
Yeah,
well then. Yeah,
yeah,
brilliant. And it looks colourful.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so that is an example of a project. So you've built the water tank and also
Save the
laid the pipe.
environment.
Yeah, and laid the pipe work for the water main. For example, maybe that project, or on average, how far do you have to lay the pipe work for the water to that location? Is it brand new water main into that community?
Yeah, it's always brand new because we start everything at the foundation level.
Hmm. And have you identified that community being most in need of that infrastructure, I guess?
So actually, it's a very good question that always everyone asks us. So basically, as an organization, we work with stakeholders. So in the district where we come from, when we're going to work with schools, we go and work with the district education officer who
Hmm.
gives us the statistics of all the needs the schools are facing, and we always choose the ones that are affected the more are the ones we start with when we are doing this intervention.
Yeah, yeah. So you're working, as you say, with the local
Yeah, local
communities,
government.
local
Yeah,
government and education officers. Yeah, no, brilliant. Just looking at the other photos, I like your cycling kit here. The sort of yellow, um, red, black. Is that
yeah,
your cycling club kit?
yeah. In fact, it's the one I adapted for our cycling initiatives and fundraisers with Equal Aqua Uganda because
Yeah,
I try to bring in the country colors so that yeah we embrace and love the country.
yeah, amazing. I love it. Um, and I like your shirt there you're wearing today. Can you tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about that?
this one, when I went to Rwanda,
Yeah,
I was so happy with how they are developing and how they are promoting cyclists. And yeah, it was my souvenir for Rwanda. I think you see it.
yeah, I can. Oh, brilliant! I love it.
Uh,
So
sure.
you can wear that on next week during the Cycling World Championships
Yeah,
over there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a bit more about the Road World Cycling Championships, which start on the 21st of September, but on Saturday, the 20th of September, there is a social ride that they're invited people to join. If you go on the website, you can see how to get involved with that. The schedule for the event, though, so it's 8 days of competition. On Sunday, 21st of September, it starts with the women's and men's elite individual time trials. The women taking on 31.2 kilometres, an elevation of 460 metres, and the men 40.6 kilometres, 680 metres. On the Monday, there's the women's and men's under 23 individual time trials. Tuesday, 23rd, the women's and men junior individual time trials. Wednesday, there's the team time trial event. So that's the mixed relay over 41.8 kilometres. That's in Kigali, a route around the city centre. The UCI have renamed some of the climbs. We've got the Côte de Kimiura, the Côte de Nyanza. We'll become familiar with those over the week. Thursday, the 25th of September, there's the women's under 23 road race. So that's 8 laps of a local circuit over 120 kilometres. Friday, 26th of September, there's the men's junior road race over the same course, same distance. Also on Friday 26th, there's the men's under 23 road race. That's 11 times round that local circuit. Saturday, 27th of September, there's the women's junior road race, which is 5 times round that local circuit. And also on the Saturday, there's the women's elite road race. So big one, 164.6 kilometers, 3,350 meters of elevation on that route. So yeah, it is a course they're doing 11 times around the city. Then the final event, the men's elite road race, and for that they're doing 9 times of a circuit. Then they're one out for an extension, and then 6 times around the circuit for a total of 267.5 kilometers and 5,475 meters of climbing. So that route starts off in the city centre, then it goes out a bit to the west, that extension circuit, and then finishing with those local circuits again. On that extended circuit, they go up Mount Kigali, the Mur de Kigali, the UCI renaming some of these climbs. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. Maybe a bit of a shame that it's not going a bit further afield and it's based on these circuits. But at least from a spectator's point of view, that's really good because you get to see the riders go past a lot of times. So yeah, looking forward to that. Stay tuned for next week. Hopefully maybe have some reports from friends over there seeing the race. So yeah, enjoy. Yeah, and go and have a look at Equal Aqua Uganda. I'll put some links in the notes here for the show description for how to follow and support Equal Aqua Uganda.